In what is being reported as a shocking legal claim, although for some of you it may not come as such as a surprise, the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID vaccine has been labelled defective, according to recently released legal papers in one of two cases that AstraZeneca faces now in the High Court. Now, these cases were reported, at least one of them, in August, but only just recently papers have been released to describe what these claims are and a little bit more detail. Now, first of all, we're here on Black Belt Secrets, firstly because this is more news than it is law, and these papers haven't been released yet, so I can't speak too much to the law about these cases just yet, but I wanted to tell you about them anyway. And secondly, we're about to hit 100,000 subscribers here on Black Belt Secrets, and I'd like to keep this with a little bit of injection, no pun intended, of my own thoughts into these videos. So please do hit that like button and subscribe to get us over that 100,000 threshold. I'd be very grateful. So this is one of two cases that AstraZeneca faces in the High Court, although it's not likely to go to court for over a year from now. But the vaccines were first rolled out by AstraZeneca in Britain, for the first country to release it, early 2021, but then later restricted the use to under 40s due to what it says was a small risk of blood clots. Now, there are mixed views about these vaccines, obviously, and many of you will have your own views, and you're welcome to let me know what those are in the comments below. And this wouldn't be the first time, if this claim did pay out, it wouldn't be the first time that money has been awarded by way of compensation or damages to an individual that's been injured or suffered due to these vaccines. In fact, Vicky Spit was reported in June 2022 to be the first person to receive compensation under the Vaccine Damage Payment Scheme of 1979 in relation to the coronavirus dosage. But as to these two cases that AstraZeneca currently faces, one is from Anish Taylor, whose wife died in March 2021 after receiving the first dose of the vaccine and filed a product liability claim against AstraZeneca in the High Court on the 4th of August, according to those court records. The lawyer told Thomson Reuters, for whom I'm a contributing author, that there's nearly 50 other clients who will formally sue AstraZeneca in the coming months. So there is indeed likely to be a great number of these cases coming forward, which I believe I predicted over on Black Belt Barrister quite some time ago. AstraZeneca has declined to comment to Thomson Reuters on active legal cases. The spokesperson was prepared to say that patient safety is our highest priority, and regulatory authorities have clear and stringent standards to ensure the safe use of all medicines, including vaccines. Our sympathy goes out to anyone who's lost a loved one or reported health problems. The second case is by Jamie Scott, who was diagnosed with vaccine-induced thrombotic thrombocytopenia, which is a type of blood clotting after receiving the AstraZeneca vaccine. He too filed his claim in August, and it's recently released documents that have been reported on where it's been claimed that this vaccine was defective. Mr. Scott, who has two children, claims that he suffered a brain injury as a result of a blood clot that he received from his vaccine in 2021. In his court documents, he said that his brain injuries left him unable to work, and he said that the efficacy, i.e. the effectiveness of the vaccine, has been vastly overstated in his court documents. So this potentially opens up the floodgates to over £80 million worth of payouts over 80 different claims from various vaccine-induced immune thrombocytopenia and thrombosis, or VITT. Now, let's not forget that the World Health Organization in 2022 concluded that the vaccines were safe and effective for all individuals aged 18 and above, notwithstanding that AstraZeneca later restricted the vaccine to those under 40 because of the associated risks. Aside from these cases, the BBC reports that many claimants have received one-off fixed tax-free payments of £120,000 under the government's vaccine damage payment scheme, which provides compensation for anyone that's been injured or bereaved of a next of kin as a result of certain vaccines. A Freedom of Information request shows that at least 144 out of 148 such payments had gone to the recipients of AstraZeneca vaccines. These claimants would have had to show that the vaccine caused serious disability of at least 60%, and the families reporting on these compensation payouts have said that this is wholly insufficient and has not been adjusted for inflation since 2007. Now, casting our mind back to April of 2021, the Joint Commission on Vaccination and Immunization advised adults under 30 should be offered an alternative to the AstraZeneca vaccine, following reports of extremely rare blood clots in a very small number of people. That, of course, being just before the guidance was amended so that only adults under 40 should have received that vaccine. Mr. Scott, one of the two claimants in these cases, was aged 44 when he received the AstraZeneca vaccine and reports to the BBC that he's had over 250 rehabilitation sessions from specialists. He's had to learn to walk again. He's had to learn to swallow again. And he's had to learn to talk again. He's also had memory problems. And although he's doing quite well, he still has significant ongoing cognitive problems. But unfortunately, it's going to be at least a year or so before these cases get to court and everything is brought out in evidence. But of course, that might change the landscape of things quite drastically. And everybody that ever spoke out against these vaccines may well be proven right. On the other hand, the court might find that these conditions were so rare that AstraZeneca was not at fault and the product itself was not defective. But what to me seems to be the case is how prevalent it is that when you speak to somebody, almost everyone you speak to will know somebody firsthand that has suffered, or they believe at least to have suffered from one of these vaccines. Whether that is some form of stroke or other form of blood clot caused injury. And so naturally, I expect there's going to be a significant body of evidence in each one of these cases that's brought to court, which probably suggests that these cases are going to go on for weeks rather than days. And so right now, I feel that we're in this interim stage where we've had the wave of the vaccine and any potential injuries that have resulted from those. Now we're in the phase where lawyers are gathering evidence and statements and filing or preparing to file claims against these companies. And in a year or so, we are going to hear a lot more of the evidence behind all these claims and any defense put forward by AstraZeneca. And the High Court is going to rule. And at that point in time, there will be a finding of fact upon which to rest your opinions. So I plan to continue reporting on these cases as they move forward. But as I said, there is less law and more thoughts and news in this video, which is the direction that I might take this channel, Black Belt Secrets. So please do hit the subscribe button. Let's get over that 100,000 threshold. I'll be very grateful. And as to the legal elements, you'll find those over on Black Belt Barrister, where I will reserve that channel for speaking of the law. So I hope you found this somewhat enlightening, and I will certainly not hold back on the news and my views. So with that, please do subscribe. I'll see you next time.